Hi, I'm Claudia Brown-Coulter with Pivotal Peace. I'm your go-to mediator for navigating divorce while parenting children with special needs. I'm also a registered legal document assistant, LDA, based in the greater Los Angeles area. So if you're thinking about filing for divorce and not using an attorney, this is a video for you. I'm going to walk you through what forms you need and what you need to do. So it is definitely possible to complete your divorce in California without ever going to see an attorney. That's fine if that's the path you choose. So let's get into it. 1, let's make sure you actually can file in California, that you meet residency. You have to have lived in the state of California for 6 months and in your particular county that you're filing for at least 3 months. If you don't meet any of those requirements, go ahead and start with a legal separation. You don't need residency requirements to start with a legal separation. Because if it is so important that you begin to separate your lives legally and you cannot wait for the 6-month time frame to be able to start because you're not a resident, you can start to get things separated in the midst of your legal separation. All right, 2, you need to complete your initial forms. Now, there are some forms that you can file all together at once, but you can't file the whole package. There are some states where you can file all the forms and the MSA and everything in one fell swoop. You can't do that. You could do that if it's a summary dissolution. You've been married for less than 5 years, you don't have any kids, and you have a limited number of assets and debts. But for everybody else, you can't do that. So for this initial filing, you need to have your petition. You need to have the summons. If you have If you have children, you need the UCCJEA. Let me tell you these form numbers. So the FL100 is your petition. The FL110 is your summons. The FL105 is your UCCJEA. And then a lot of counties have a local form. So in Los Angeles County, your local form is FAM 020, so FAM 20. That is making sure, a lot of these local forms really, they're about making sure you're filing in the right court. So I know Orange County has one. I don't remember if San Bernardino does. Riverside does. So a lot of counties have, San Diego does, these local forms that they need you to fill out first. So you go and file them. You take yourself down to the courthouse and you stand in line and you go file these forms. Because remember, you're doing this all by yourself. Okay. You pay the filing fee, which is $435 in LA. In other counties, it's $450 or $465. Then the court will give you a case number. And then you're not done with your first step. Okay. Then what you need to do is you now need to get your spouse served, and you can't hand the paperwork to them. You cannot. You can have somebody place it in the mail, and then they have to sign the FL117 notice of acknowledgement and receipt. But however they get served, whether it's that, or maybe you hire a process server, or maybe your best friend serves them, whoever has done the service, not you, has to complete the FL115, the proof of service of summons. That needs to be turned into the court and filed. That date on that paperwork is the date your 6-month clock starts, because it takes a minimum of 6 months to finalize a divorce in the state of California. It can take longer, though. It can take longer, so get your stuff together. Next step. I forgot to label the steps for you. Don't worry about it. All right, your financial disclosures. You have to have full transparency from both sides. Now, some counties don't require that the other spouse file their paperwork, their financial disclosures, but every county expects you to at least fill them out and serve them on the other person. So just go ahead and do that. Don't get fooled. Somebody was like, Claudia, we only need one form. I'm like, oh, because you do this every day and you know. I didn't say that. I was just like, okay, you're lying under the penalty of perjury that you actually did these forms, but okay, technically that's true. So there are 4 forms, the FL140, the FL141, the FL142, the FL150. All of those need to be completed and served on your spouse, along with attachments of the things you're referencing in the FL142, your schedule of assets and debts. This is supposed to be done 60 days after the petition, within 60 days of the petition being filed. So you're attaching your bank statements, you're attaching maybe a printout of the Kelley Blue Book value, maybe your credit card statement, you're attaching that, giving that to your spouse. Now, of those 4 forms, 2 have to be filed. One is the FL150, but that's the income and expense report. But if there's no support involved, if there's no child support involved, you have no kids, minor children, Or if there's no spousal support involved, you can get away with not filing that. So the one you absolutely must have is the FL-141. That's the proof of service that you actually did your disclosures and served them. So if you didn't do these three, but you're signing and saying that you did on this one, you are committing fraud. Don't do that. Don't hire me to do your work. Okay, next. Your spouse has to do this too. Then what happens next is you have to reach an agreement. Now, your spouse can respond and file a formal response. Great. That's fine. Let's still reach an agreement, and we're going to call it uncontested. Now, your spouse could not file a response. Great. That's fine. Let's still reach an agreement and call it a default with an agreement. It's all good. It's all good. There's just a couple little paperwork tweaks, but we're not going to court, okay? Because you're doing this on your own. You're not going to court. So when you are doing this, if your spouse does not file a response, then you're going to need the FL-165 to enter a default. If they did file a response and you're working on this, you're going to need the FL-130. So there are a lot of forms that you need in this final step. You need the FL-144 to waive your financial disclosures, your final financial disclosures. Your final. You cannot waive your preliminary disclosures. I just said that. You can waive your final disclosures. So you're going to need either the 165 or the 130. You're going to need the 170. You're going to need the 180. You're going to need the 190. That's the notice of entry of judgment. If you have kids, you're going to have to do the 191. That gets sent to the court, but doesn't actually get filed. And it's for the child support registry record. And really, it's just if you become delinquent, then they know who to go after. But they're not doing anything with that information. It really is just sitting there. Now, for your FL-180, this is your judgment. It's 2 pages long. That's not enough information. So you could attach a marriage settlement agreement. You can write up everything you've agreed upon and get that signed and notarized. Or that might be easier for you, actually, because it's pretty straightforward. The other thing you can do is you can use a series of forms. There's forms about property. There's forms about children. There's forms about spousal support. There's forms about child support. There's forms about, oh, but our child support is not actually what the guideline support is. There's forms about that. There's all these different types of forms that you can fill out and attach. And that kind of makes it easier for the clerks to review your judgment so that they can pass it on to a judge and get it signed with forms. But you can definitely do a marriage settlement agreement. Then if your spouse has filed a response, you probably can just get away with signatures. And in California, you can e-sign. Let me take that back. In most counties in California, you can e-sign. You can e-sign all the paperwork in almost all the counties, not Sacramento. And then when it comes to your judgment, you might not be able to. But hey, we down here in LA. You can e-sign that bad boy. You can use online notary. So if your spouse didn't file a response, you're going to need to get a notary and notarize that judgment. But the other stuff you can e-sign, and you can use an online notary. So great. So that's how you complete your divorce. Deep breath. So what can I do? If you have more time than you have money, then I want you to stay on YouTube and keep looking. Drop a comment. Ask me a question. What about this form? What about this form? Great. You have more time than money. That is fine. But if you have more money than time, then you're going to need to hire somebody like me, a legal document assistant, who can help you get these forms in the right order where the court will accept them and actually get them filed for you so that you can move on with your life. The thing I love about LA, although lately they've not been returning judgments to us. That's been weird. They've been mailing them right to the client. A little strange. But just because it takes 6 months to get a divorce doesn't mean that it's going to take them 6 months to process your divorce. So they run through that documentation very quickly. A legal document assistant can also, they help you prepare and they file the documents for you. They e-file them. They help you stay on track. They help you know what is next, right? Because you are working and raising kids and trying to get over your ex. So thinking about divorce and what papers and the documents, that's a lot. They can help you two work together. They can communicate with both you and your spouse to help you reach an agreement if you're working with somebody who's also a mediator. And it really can save you money as opposed to hiring an attorney. You can get a divorce in California without an attorney. You can do it all by yourself. It's very likely, though, you're going to have to take a deep dive on YouTube and really get some help and support. If you would like to skip that step, there's a link in the show description. Use that. Schedule a call with me. Let's chat and see how I can help you expedite this process and get you on your way to your happily ever after part. Okay, folks, have a great Thursday. If you found this video helpful and useful, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who could benefit from that, please be a good friend and share it. And if you've got questions, if you need more details, if you want a specific video about a specific form, go ahead and drop it in the comments below so I can create it for you. Have a good one.